Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. He changes, and that's fine because I have Jawari, which sorts out a very non-bingo-y rack. And I draw some more power tiles in the Z and the X, but just the one vowel this time. At the moment, I can play Zex above the top of Jawari, while opponents just blocked that spot. However, he's provided another one, which is almost as good. Certainly fairly satisfactory. Slightly vulnerable to drawing consonants. So let me just pause in case I have something which leaves just 3 consonants. Let me put this back before I rush into this move. So there is the X spot here, but I think that I'm unable to get that to score twice, apart from playing XED, which does have some merit since the Z can go on the triple letter square. And there's also scope for playing the Z elsewhere if I draw a vowel. Let me have a look at this score. Only 36 points. I think it's fairly close, but Zex gives very little away, so I'm going with Zex. Great, I do draw a couple of vowels, still a non-bingo-y rack. I do have fish as a component part of the word, but I can't think of any 8-letter plays which end fish using DAT. Now, Z does take 3 vowels underneath, so not surprising. Opponent has got an option there. So, F is my non-bingo-y tile. Where can I play that? And the board is fairly blocked towards the bottom. Gled takes an O in front, but not any of the vowels I have. So, what I can do is far here for 27 points, leaving a decent rack leave. I could well have a bingo next turn if I draw a couple of decent tiles, and far gives nothing away. I am going with this. Great, I do draw vowels, and all of these tiles are bingo-y, but do I have one? Nothing has come to mind. If there is a bingo here, it'll be very high probability. So, I am not seeing... dacoits. I have dacoits. Phew, I was on the brink of abandoning that search. And there is a spot for it. And is this the only spot? This is 83 points. And I think it is the only spot. Pretty good. Fairly balanced rack. Mainly bingo-y tiles. Slightly non-bingo-y in that there are 2 scoring tiles. And I'm not seeing any bingos at the moment. I would have Wayman onto a W. I've got the ing ending with AEHM. Opponent does play a W, but it's not available. And look at this, I still lead by 70 points despite opponent's bingo. I guess I had a good couple of early scores with the power tiles. Now, what do I have? Opponents has provided no bingo, no floaters. There's the C, O and I of dacoit. So what about the C? Not seeing anything with that. How about the O? No, and the I doesn't look promising. No other floaters to consider. So now my attention is drawn to the triple word plays, letters, squares, in the top row. And my M and G can go above the U. What goes above the O? Well, I have HM, but that doesn't get tripled. GM. I-M. Well, no. What about a 5-letter play beginning with M? M-E-A? No. Okay, what about a play over the top of the W? Yes, I have ham in that spot. And I could make it better with a hem. How much does the E help this rack? Still 7 or 8 E's to come. So this is 48. This is 53. Does E add 5 points of value to ing? I don't think it does. And even if it does, it's not going to be massively more than 5 points. And ahem does mildly hamper opponents' use of the other triple word square. Great. I draw a nice rack. I have kneesing. Nowhere for that. I'm not sure there are any 7-letter lanes on the board, but there are a couple of floaters, O and C, and the I just about. Ah, splendid. Opponent has now provided a 7-letter lane in row M. Does kneesing play in that spot? I'm not sure it does. Does kneesing have an anagram? Well, engines. And I don't think that plays. Let me first of all consider the floating F. Nothing there. So I have engines. Engines sneeing. Is there a further anagram? Jenny's, perhaps? Jenny's, possibly? I don't feel good about this. And it's good. Fantastic. Brilliant spot. Gosh, doesn't look right at all. Now, I draw the final power tile in the queue, so I believe I've had all of them this game. And I lead by 150 points, so it's going to be a real struggle to lose from here, but I'll have a go. So I have chi on my rack, and there's a floating U in Fugio. So I have Quim in column 2, and I have chi and oi in row C. There's also the Q of Outlawed for Quim. Fantastic. Gosh, opponent comes right back into it with a 94-point play, trails now by just 60. However, look at this, I've got a 50-point play, and I think I've scored really well off every single one of the 4 power tiles, which has been really fortunate. And this is not a bad rack leave. So Quim for 50. 2 Ys. However, in the context of a 100-point lead, scoring tiles are always useful for keeping the score going. I have byline. Cassiope only takes an S. I would have flyby if there were one more row on the board. That would get rid of all 3 of my big tiles. Look at this, the 2 triple letters. Wow! Amazing play by opponent, 78 points. He's not going quietly. He trails by now by a mere 35. This is horrendous. I think byliner is good. I think it is. I think I checked it the other day when I played bylined. And if that is good, that's going to score handily. Well, not massively handily. But what would score more? The R is covering the double letter square, so I'm not really going to score more. Let me put this back. It's easy to get swept along in the moment. Heavens forfend. So, I do have IFY plays in, or the IFY suffix for column 1. Not seeing anything there. There is the possibility of putting a B or a Y on this triple letter square. I could play Blay and B. So I do have a 35-point lead. What's the right type of play to make here? I think the right thing to do is to take out effectively the E and the R with byliner, because opponent's best chance of catching me is with a bingo. So byliner 36. Pretty good. That looks close to a bingo. And just 13 tiles in the bag, and they're not looking particularly bingo-y. No S's or blanks to come. However, there will be bingos there. And a bingo through the F would be huge. However, the F isn't a particularly bingo-y tile, so it's not one I should be busting a gut to take out. However, it may be useful to play through that, just in terms of scoring. 18 points for opponent. He's now 50 points behind. And that's quite good because he's taken out a bingo-y floater, just 2 E's to come. So do I have anything through this F? Well, I have Fern, F-I-R-N, 18 points. That's pretty lame. What about any I-F-Y plays? Not seeing one. Are there any floaters I need to consider? What about the T and D of Buta? They're obstructed, but they are available. No, not seeing anything there. No, oh, I thought I had Y rent, but I do, but I was looking for a play through the U. And do I have any FY plays of any description? Well, I have rear 5, but that doesn't get tripled, so that's not what I'm looking for. Hey is good, but I'm not seeing a play which gets it to score twice. And it would need to have 3 vowels to come across from this double word square, so that's not going to happen. I could play Nye for 21, keeping a really good 5-letter set. But what's the point of keeping a good 5-letter set? I'm not going to bingo through the F. I'm unlikely to bingo in row N. Column 14, also very unlikely. Really, it would be to take advantage if opponent were to open up a bingo lane. So I'm not a fan of NY. I am a fan of getting rid of the N and the Y. But where's the best spot to do that? Oh, did I consider NY here? 25 points, that's a little bit more, a little bit better. But I am leaving this F alone. And given my lead is just 50 points, one way for opponent to catch me is to put together a run of good scores, but there's only the K to come. Just seeing if I have eternity, but I would need another T for that. Gosh, I could play Trafe. 24 points, retaining the Y for score on a non-bingo-y board. That's quite attractive. If I had an A, I could have Trafe spelled A-Y-F. I don't feel great about this. Keeping double N, keeping Y. I am 100% confident opponent does not have a bingo through this F. I am going with Nye. And I draw the K, which is good to some extent, in that it's a scoring tile. However, it's a non-bingo-y tile, which increases my opponent's chances of bingoing. Bingo is not fatal. I lead by 80 points. And wow, look at this. This is beautiful. And this would have been a really strong reason for playing NY. but I now have knut, maybe pronounced nut, above Nye, Knut, which is going to score about 50 points, and I'm pretty sure that guarantees the win. Yeah, just 30 for opponent. So I have nut for 43, and I didn't see that when I played NY, but if I had have done, it would have made it much easier for me to make that play. One tile in the bag, opponent could bingo. So this gives me 43, 477, a lead of 90. Maximum 10 count back. Opponent would need to score 80 with a bingo. Technically possible, but exceptionally unlikely, and I think it may even be impossible. And look at this, 3 O's to come. So nut for 43. I could play nit in this spot. I do have 7 minutes left. Let me think about this. I don't think I have a bingo with this rack. Through a P, I would have turnpike. So there's the floating T and D, not seeing a bingo through either of those. Now my K can go between O and I. Not seeing anything there. Rotifer only takes an S. Supposing I played nit, keeping URE, and I think that's worth doing, and let me explain why. Because there are 3 O's, and if I draw an O, I can go out with Euro and OB, and Euro and M, so I'm guaranteed an out. However, if I played nut and kept IRE and drew an O, I don't have a 4-letter play, and I may not be able to go out. So I am playing nit, and I draw an O. So I have Euro and OB. Roue is its anagram. So Euro and OB, 12. Euro and M, 9. Where else can it play? Can't see it underneath Jenny's. No tiles in the bag. I can see opponent's rack. He doesn't have a bingo. Where else can I go out? Log. Well, log takes an E and an O. Neither assists. Can't see anything through the pair of T's. Not seeing anything else beside byliner. I have Roue and Re. 8 points. Opponent's blocked my best spot. And not provided a spot for Euro either side of Nardu. RO not good. Just double checking. And opponent has not. So I have Euro here, 5 minutes on my clock for 9 points. What about Roue in column 2, 8 points? So this is a better play. Is there an even better one? Not too many spots to check. Well, not that I can see. I am going with this. And that should be the end of the game. And the final score. 415 for my opponent, 488 for me, a winning margin of 73 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go first. So he changed, and he could have played Chi for 22, but with a horrendous rack leave, so I think he did the right thing. my rack. And I have Jawar and Jawari, also Hijra. But I think Jawari definitely better. The I not worth hanging on to. So, but either would be fine. Now, opponent's change has brought him the first blank, but the rest of his rack is junk, so that's pretty unfortunate. Plays Pav. And now I have Zex for 48, and that looks fine. Opponent plays Gled. And I play Far for 27. I could have got 9 more points, but at the expense of burning the S, so I prefer my play. Opponent plays Vat. And now this was the one which nearly eluded me, Dacoits. And there were 2 spots for it. So B10, that was my play for 83. But also G9 and Dit. Okay, well, certainly column 10, better positioning. Great bingo for opponent. Outlawed, the only one available. And look at this, U and W together. One of the worst duos in Scrabble, but that just means they appear in only a limited number of bingos, not that they appear in no bingos, and opponent found one of them. Now this is my rack, and I play a hem for 50, which is really nice. Opponent had come to within a bingo of me, and this stretched my lead again. Opponent plays Fugio. And now I have Jennies, so it's Engines, Jennies, Sneeing, and possibly Neezing. But absolutely fantastic that Jennies was available and slotted in, so I have a substantial lead. For a few microseconds, opponent comes back with a double-double, Casio, and I now lead by only 60 points. However, I have a handy 50-point Q play. But look at this, opponent with a fantastic spot of buta. It's an unusual word, and the combination of 3 vowels in the middle, and just generally this is a tough word to find, so credit to my opponent for finding that. And this, well, saying spooked is a slightly stronger word, but certainly my lead is substantially less than it was. And I played Byliner for 36, and there weren't any more points on offer. Horrible rack for opponent, yet again plagued with an all-consonant rack. Plays Velt. Now, where are these plays? N2. Okay, I'm not enamoured of these plays. They score well. However, they do provide some access to row O, and there are E's to come. So I prefer my play of Knight, only 11 points adrift. However, one advantage of playing 90 would be to take out column 1, but I really don't consider this F to be dangerous. Opponent plays Rotifer. And now I play Knit. What else was on offer? Well, they're all in the same spot, but Kia keeping NTU was possible because IAS is good as well as NIAS. And given the number of vowels to come, it may make sense to keep 2 consonants. Knit kept 2 vowels. I would then have had town and nout, but I'm not sure there is anywhere for those, so I'm certainly happy with my play. It gave me guaranteed outs if I drew a U, if I drew an O, and I did. Now opponent's rack, no out, plays Nardu, and wow, Auri C1. Gosh, through the eye. That would have been nice, 15 points. So, 6 points needlessly thrown away at the death. And that was the end of the game. So, absolutely super fun and great to be back to winning ways. I was on the absolute precipice of having my rating dip into the 1600s, which I'm sure will happen over time just through variation. But I was on the brink today. If I'd lost, I would have had a rating below 1700, but I've won, so that has been postponed for one game at least. Anyway, many thanks to my opponent for a good battle and a great comeback. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.